Welcome to the Patreon NHL Ice Guys, Saturday, March 9th. The big card is always on a Saturday. I'm Ian Cameron, joined by Alex B. Smith and Andrew McGinnis. We're going to get right to the games because it's a large card. Let's start right now. Buffalo, Colorado, 3 p.m. Eastern time. This game starts in about an hour from now. Colorado minus 165 in this game. The total right now sitting at 6.5, shaded to the over. I actually have two official plays in this game to start the card. So we're starting with a bang on my end. I'm going to go with now. I know Mikko Rantanen's out. It's a big deal. 4 to 6 weeks. That's the big news for the Colorado Avalanche here. Certainly a guy that's going to be missed for this hockey team. There's no question about that. However, like I like to say sometimes, often you get teams that step up, give their best foot forward in a time like this with a key cog out of the lineup. I think you're probably going to see that here from the Colorado Avalanche here in this game. They are in an obviously desperate situation where every point and every game from here on out for this Colorado Avalanche team is magnified and a big hockey game for them. And I think this is still a Buffalo Sabres team, which, as we've seen, they've just absolutely been in an utter free fall. 2-8 in their last 10 games. It has been a rough go of it for this Buffalo Sabres team. There's no question about it. 5-4 loss the other night against Chicago, 4-3 loss against Edmonton. We've talked about Buffalo a lot, of course, on this show. We've talked about their defensive struggles. Doesn't seem to be getting any better either for this team. I said it was Rantanen, by the way. It's Landeskog that's out 4 to 6 weeks for the Colorado Avalanche. See, there's so many games and teams and sports rattling through your head. Sometimes you're going to do that. It is Landeskog, not Rantanen, out for Colorado long term. Nevertheless, it's a big absence, but in one game without him, first game without him, we see this in the NHL and NBA. You step up collectively. I think Colorado does that. I like them in regulation time here in this hockey game. You can get a pretty reasonable price with them on the three-way money line, reg line, minus 115. I'm going to take them minus 115 regulation. Also over the total, simply because I've been on Buffalo over every single game. It keeps cashing. One of these teams that's just on a streak of overs right now. Colorado's got to get this offense going. Their defense, Buffalo, right now is not stopping anybody from putting the puck in the net. I think the Avalanche can get 5 or 6 all by themselves. It's been a routine for Buffalo giving up this many goals. So I like Colorado and reg line over 6.5 full game. 2 official plays for me on this first game on the Saturday card. Alex B. Smith, you got anything here with Buffalo in Denver to take on Colorado?
Yeah, I'm with you on that Colorado regulation. There's no way I would lay 160 with them. And this is a game they should be able to win within 60 minutes. And also, too, this is that time of year we've already seen a lot of teams playing early games. Both these teams are well versed in it, but I think it's a lot harder for Buffalo to go on the road in altitude and play with this early kind of a start. And I usually don't like playing unders early, but like I said, every time I tried to go with an under in Colorado, I've gotten burned. So lean with the over, but definitely like Colorado in regulation.
All right, official as well for Colorado regulation on it for Alex B. Smith. Andrew McGinnis, anything here with the Sabres taking on the Avs?
I look at this one here and I just see Buffalo continuously going over the total, whether it's them getting scored on or them scoring in bunches themselves. And you look at Colorado's last 10 games, like you said, that absence with Landeskog, it's huge. I talk about all season how top heavy they are, but I do agree with your statement, Ian, not only about how, teams can rally together, but more so just the fact that they're playing a team like Buffalo that loves to be involved in fast-paced games. These two teams collectively actually have incredible young, talented defensemen. However, a lot of them like to push the pace, get up into the rush, join the play quite a bit, which creates offense and sometimes can create odd man rushes the other way. So, this Colorado Avalanche team, looking at their schedule in their past 10 games here, it's been up, down, up, down, up, down as far as lower scoring games, higher scoring games. And of course, they're coming off a 4-0 loss to the Dallas Stars. That one was just despicable. That's a tough one for them. And I look at this schedule spot here, and I think over the total of 6.5. I think both teams come together, they clash, and it's my first official play here on the Ice Guys here with over 6.5.
All right, so Sabres over 6.5 for Andrew, an official play of his on this game. Next up, St. Louis, San Jose. San Jose minus 130, minus 135. Andrew may have to leave the show early, so we're going to try to go as brisk a pace as we can and through this card. 6 the total here, shaded to the under between the Blues and the San Jose Sharks. St. Louis Blues bouncing back with back-to-back wins on this California swing. They beat Anaheim in comeback fashion, shut out the Los Angeles Kings in their last game. Now we'll take on the San Jose Sharks. I don't know what it is about San Jose. The nice win the other night against Montreal, but I haven't been jumping at taking San Jose from a side perspective lately. And they're laying $1.30. It's usually a much better price than you usually get with San Jose at home. There might actually be some value on the Sharks. I've heard whispers Darren Dell might actually get a start. They might rest Martin Jones. It's not been confirmed yet. We're waiting for the goalie info to come out, which is surprising. Usually we have it, especially for a game that's just starting in a couple of hours for now. But we really haven't heard much about who's going to be in net for the Sharks. They've hinted they want to give Dell a start. Pete DeBoer has said that. We just don't know if it's going to be in this hockey game. I definitely would not want San Jose with Aaron Dell. Not that Martin Jones has been terrific. He's had ups, he's had downs this season. But I'd still prefer Jones in there for the St. Louis Blues. You would think it's Binnington in net, but again, no confirmation there. Not much on this game, to be honest. Cider total, I'd need more goalie info than I've got at my disposal right now. We know the St. Louis Blues have been sort of righted the ship the last couple of games after going back into a little bit of a funk, but should be an interesting game, of course. San Jose trying to keep this nice little home streak going here in this game, but nothing much for me. It's a pass on this Sharks Blues game. Alex, you got anything on this one?
Nothing too much. I like San Jose here in this spot. Like I said, you got to wait to see. I don't mind Aaron Dell too much. Aaron Dell is actually one of the backup goalies I like playing on a year ago. Hasn't had as sharp of a year this season, but my thing is St. Louis ride or dies right now with Jordan Binnington. I don't want to go against him right now, even though they're on the road and it's the third game in 4 nights, earlier start. And like I said, it's a San Jose team that's once again used to playing those early starts, having the advantage being at home here on a nice 3-game road streak. So I like lean San Jose, nothing official, but I definitely would want to wait to hear from both teams on goalie confirmations.
Yeah, which you should know about about half an hour to an hour before puck drop. Pre-game skates take place. That's when you'll know for sure the Blues and the Sharks who they're going with in net here today. Andrew, you got any leans or takes here with the St. Louis San Jose game?
I've decided this one's gonna be a pass for me here, guys. Look at this one. It's tough. It's tough here because San Jose, they're scoring in bunches right now, and especially at home, they're playing great hockey. But St. Louis, this is a team right now that's, let's face it, guys. I think all of us collectively, before the Ice Guys kind of made the transition to Patreon and stuff like that, we were all bashing on how underachieving this team was. And now looking at what they're doing here, they're taking care of business against teams they should be, and they're also competing against teams that are top tier. But looking at this San Jose team, I think that as much as they can score, my lean would be to the over, to be honest with you guys. I want to take the over. But like Alex said, you never really know with the goaltending for St. Louis sometimes how rock solid that could be. So for me, it's going to be an El Paso. But, looking at San Jose, I feel like they could go over their team total or over the total themselves. So it's a tough one for me. I'm going to pass, though.
All right, passes all around here on this game. It is a tricky one, especially without that knowledge. Detroit, Tampa. Tampa Bay, here we go again. They were about minus 500 and change against Ottawa in a recent game, and here they are against Detroit as high as minus 475 as home favorites against Detroit. The total 6.5. There's no way I could take Detroit because you got Tampa off a very, very rare loss. We know the Lightning off a loss is a good bet on profile for this team. But not at minus 475 for me. Are they a good bet on profile? No, thank you. We're not swallowing that much juice on this team tonight, even though they're in a pretty good situation. By the way, battle of backups in this game tonight. Jonathan Bernier for the Detroit Red Wings has been confirmed as their starter. Louis Domingue confirmed as the starter for the Lightning. And I'm not as gung-ho about jumping on a Tampa Bay over with Domingue as I was earlier in the season. He's really played well. I remember the Boston game his last start. He's the only reason the Lightning had a chance still late in that game. He was outstanding. He made several terrific saves. A great performance, even though the Lightning did not win that hockey game. Domingue has played some better hockey lately. I don't trust Detroit's offense still. They're having trouble for the most part putting the puck in the net and game in, game out basis, a very thin lineup. So this is another pass for me. 6.5, you're not getting a bargain. I think I would have been more interested over the total at 6. But not really at 6.5. One concern with under, though, is Bernier on the Detroit side. Tampa's pissed. Tampa's not happy about getting shut out by Minnesota the other night. This, you would think, you got to get inside the heads, play Fraser Crane late in the season with a team like Tampa Bay that's pretty much wrapped up everything already. What games are they going to bring it? Which games will they not? This is probably a game they bring it up after a shutout home loss the other night. So I'd be safer with Tampa Bay team total over if I'm going to go with a total in any form in this game. Full game total, I just don't know if Detroit's going to help me out enough with that. So Tampa Bay team total over would be probably the strongest lean I have in this game, but nothing official in terms of a bet that will make the card that will be posted on the Patreon Ice Guys page after the show. Alex B. Smith, you got anything here with the Wings taking on the Lightning?
Yeah, this is a pass for me as well. And I would be playing on Detroit if the Bolts hadn't had that bad loss in that last game, because now Tampa Bay has clinched a playoff spot. They're resting some guys. Dan Girardi, Anton Strawman, both listed as out. Louis Domingue in net for Vasilevsky. So, this could be just a kind of just whatever, just kind of skated out. Nothing really much to do here. And you're getting plus 350. Oh, you get plus 500 in regulation with Detroit. That's a lot of value. But like I said, if Tampa Bay comes out and decides, hey, we want to right the wrongs from the other night and play some decent hockey, then they can just turn it on the blink of an eye, and then next they're up 3-1, 4-1. So I'm going to pass this one.
Yeah, a lot of variables. Detroit, can you trust them really with Tampa losing the last game? No, but you mentioned Tampa resting a couple guys, no Vasilevsky in net. So is there really an urgency there, even though they didn't like the way they played the other night? Is there really urgency it's not the end of the world? Like if they lose 2 in a row tonight, Tampa Bay, are they really going to start panicking? Not really. They're thinking a long-term goal, Stanley Cup or bust this year for this team. If we need to get a couple defensemen, and you mentioned it with Girardi and Stallman, a couple of our guys that log a ton of minutes on the blue line every night, we need to get them some rest. We won't hesitate to do it. So these are games that are tricky, and that's why I say my volume in the NHL is going to decrease over the next 4 weeks, the last 4 weeks of the regular season. You got to pick your spots. You got to be more selective because there's going to be variables. There's going to be motivation concerns on both sides. And if you like the superior team over the inferior team, you're not going to get the bargains now like you got in October through to January. Look, you're getting favorites of minus 200, 300, even 400 on a lot of nights right now. So it's pick and choose. Be selective is my best piece of advice for these last 4 weeks of the regular season. And I should remind all of our viewers, we are exactly 4 weeks left in the regular season. 4 weeks from now will be the final day of the regular season, the first Saturday of April. So it's coming, and the playoffs are right around the corner. Andrew McGinnis, Detroit, Tampa, you got anything betting-wise that you're interested in here?
Well, just to add basically onto what you were saying, Ian, it's a tough month. It's a tough time of the year. Odds makers really adjusting to those dominant teams, seeing 300s, 400s, even 500, minus 500s. It's tough, and I think that's what really makes you have to pick your spots. And when I look at this game here, I'll be honest, I don't use a lot of motivation as far as handicapping goes. I don't really like to use that term too much, but it does certainly apply to certain teams and certain games right now. Look at this Tampa Bay team. I mean, you said Stanley Cup or fail with them pretty much right now. And, I'd have to say it's very true. With that dominant season that they've had, with the outstanding play from their top line, there's really just one path for them, and it has to be right for the Cup Finals. Now, looking at this team here, coming off the loss, Detroit, a team coming in here that's been really up and down with their scoring. My lean would just be the under 6.5. That's what it would be, that or pass. I just simply, as much as this team can score and, to get on the board and dominate, they're resting some players. We see, I know Domingue's in nets tonight, but I can rely on him still. He's still a trustworthy backup every now and then. And I just don't really see this one being a huge, huge high-scoring contest. So my lean would be the under. But I'm kind of in the same boat as you, Ian. I'm going to be really low volume over the next couple of days, especially as things kind of weigh out. And, certain opportunities will kind of connect where it's like, hey, this team, this is actually a big game for them, or this team, should shut this team down tonight. But a lot of times it's weird to get reads on teams that are out of the picture and teams that are trying to get into the picture because, as we know, certain teams love to play spoiler, come April 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good time of year to just scale back and pick your spots, no doubt about it. And this is one of the reasons this game's a perfect example why. Ottawa, Boston. Next game on the card here, Boston minus 450, total 6 across the board. I have no official plays here. I have a lean over the total just because I'm waiting for Ottawa to sort of buckle down defensively. It's not really happening for them. I mean, they pulled the Islanders into high-scoring games. That's hard to do. And Ottawa managed to do that a couple of games in a row this week. And, they're playing hard for Mark Crawford, but they're still a bit of a mess in their own zone, giving pucks away, getting trapped in their own zone, not able to clear the zone. That continues to be a problem for them, whether it's Nilsson or Anderson, the two goalies for the Senators, just having trouble supporting those goalies with strong, sturdy play in front of their two netminders, and that continues to be an issue. But I do like the energy they're playing with. They've been in every game since Mark Crawford's been there. That's a good sign. And Boston is keeping teams in a lot of games. Boston's winning these games, but, look at the Carolina game. Came back to win that one by the skin of their teeth. Came back in the most miracle of fashions to beat the Florida Panthers the other night in the final minute. This is not a minus 4 something with team right now that I want to lay a price with, and not even a puck line team right now. They're winning a lot of games. They're just doing enough to get by, And now Jake DeBrusk's out. Big absence, huge absence for the Boston Bruins. He will miss the rest of the weekend at least for the Bruins. He's been one of their best forwards lately, giving support to Bergeron, Marchand, and that top line for the Bruins. Those two guys, DeBrusk and Krejci, have been their best forwards lately. And losing DeBrusk hurts. Still waiting to get Pasternak back from injury. Skating on his own, though, now. Still non-contact jersey when he was taking the ice this morning, but he's closer. He's at least on the ice, closing in hopefully on a return. I'd lean over, and I'd lean Ottawa puck line plus 1.5 goals in this game. Again, the effort's been there. You can get a really good price with Ottawa puck line plus 1.5. Let me just check that out for you quickly right now. Ottawa plus 1.5 is plus 125. It's actually a plus price with plus a goal and a half on Ottawa here. I think that's a way to look. I mean, Boston can win this game by a goal like they have the last couple. They'd be more than happy. Nothing official, but if you're going to play this game, I'm throwing it out there. Ottawa plus a goal and a half and over 6 is the ways I'd lean. But I'm going to keep this game at the pass level in terms of anything official. Alex B. Smith with Ottawa taking on Boston. What do you like here?
The only thing I'd be looking at is lean here with the first period over 1.5 minus $1.30. We've seen that cash for the last 6 games for Ottawa, and they've all been all but one have been actually 3 goals. So if you can find a +2, like I mentioned in the show a couple of days ago, there's some shops, especially if you're in the New Jersey, West Virginia areas that have been posting 2s, should be getting even better value than minus 130. So I think we see a high-scoring game early. Maybe things kind of tone down a little bit. Shout out to Mikey Picks in the chat who's mentioned 14 straight regulation wins for Tuukka Rask. So that's the reason for that high juice price. But yeah, Ottawa plus 1.5. That's the only thing I would be looking at if I had to pick something, as far as the full game wager goes.
Yeah, because these bad teams, you have to see this. For a lot of these bad teams, it's a combination of they're struggling, but they're compete Wayne's game to game. Detroit's like that. New Jersey's certainly been like that. But Ottawa, the last few games, I mean, right in there and trying hard, these youngsters. Brady Tkachuk and the crew, very young team now. But they're giving it a good effort every night. And if they do that here tonight, you never know, slip in there and lose by 1 at worst case scenario. So that's why I lean Sens puck line. And again, you rarely get plus 1.5 goals on a team at a plus price, plus 125. It tells you how heavy an underdog they are on the money line. But again, Boston's just doing enough to win these games and just get by as of late. So they're a tricky team to trust to win games by margin, especially now with DeBrusk out of the lineup for the Bruins, one of their better offensive players during the last couple of weeks. Andrew McGinnis, you got any takes here on Sens Bruins?
I'm certainly kind of going against my whole theories that I've been talking about over the past several days. And I think sometimes you have to learn from things. And, I've been bashing, absolutely crushing this Ottawa Senators team, saying how terrible they are, how terrible their lineup is. And guys, they've been scoring still, nothing too magnificent, but they've still been getting on the board. And, I believe I had a team total under for them a couple days ago, and that absolutely slapped me in the face. I mean, I think they covered that in the first period and a half. This is a team I'm still giving it the old college try, and they're competing in games, and they're finding a way. And you mentioned Tkachuk. I mean, what an outstanding job for him to, number one, always get in the head of the opposing team. But not only that, but park himself in front of the net. He got a beautiful tip the other night for a goal. He's always making an impact. Pajot's been playing a lot better. Certain players really stepping up and rising to the occasion. And now, of course, you mentioned the injuries with Boston. But, guys, I want to say that last game I saw with Boston, I believe it was against Florida, and that back-and-forth scoring was just so amazing. I mean, for anyone that had the under, my deepest condolences, because that one was an absolute stunner of a third period. This team, when they want to, can really turn it on, and I believe this Ottawa Senators will kind of, ignite that flame, because they know how to play. They don't know how to play any other style of hockey but fast and but score filled. I mean, when I was in Ottawa earlier on this year, I saw, I believe total was 8 or 9 goals in the whole game. I mean, this is a team that doesn't play a lot of low scoring games, and I'm going to go with the first period over and the full game in this one. I think this one gets off to a hot start, but I also think as things progress, they definitely pile in. So, this is one game I'm really narrowing in on here, guys, and it's something funny for me because I've usually been kind of only taking unders with this Boston Bruins team recently, but looking at the way they're scoring, looking at different guys stepping up, and looking at the way they've been kind of being such a threat in the offensive zone on a consistent basis each night, So Ottawa, with the weak defensive pairings that love to jump into the rush, they should create a lot of chances for this Boston Bruins team. So this is kind of a big game for me here. 2 plays, 1 game.
2 plays, 1 game. Liking the first period over and the full game over for Andrew with the Senators taking on the Bruins. Should be interesting to see if the Sens can keep their feisty ways going tonight in TD Garden. Jersey taking on the Rangers. Rangers minus 175, total 6 shaded to the under. The New Jersey Devils offense has completely fallen off the cliff. We know that. The injuries have absolutely just grounded this team from an offensive perspective. That's not a team I'm looking to bet over totals of 6 right now. That is for damn sure. And the Rangers were involved in a lot of back and forth, higher scoring games for a bit. That's sort of cooled off a little bit lately for the New York Rangers. Again, we're going to just still be a little cautious with unders with any leans that I have under the total. 1-1 with my under leans yesterday. The New Jersey Washington game stayed under, but Montreal Anaheim did not stay under, and I thought that one would. But this one I do lean under the total with. Not official. Again, I'm scared to death to make any under an official bet for reasons you all are fully aware of by now. But I do think this game should be lower scoring in nature. Jersey can't put a puck in the net. Rangers defensively, even with their inconsistencies defending, should be able to defend this AHL lineup that the Devils are sending out there on a nightly basis. And on the flip side, New Jersey still trying to keep teams low scoring. Rangers offense has sort of sputtered a bit the last couple of games. So I think it's got a chance to stay under 6. That's the way I'm going to lean with the Rangers and Devils. But again, nothing official. Just to recap, still the only official plays I have were both from the Buffalo game over the total there and Colorado in regulation. So we're still just at 2 official plays for me as of right now. Alex B. Smith, you got anything here with the Devils and Rangers?
No, not much. We've come a long way from Mark Messier's guarantee in Game 7 or even Adam Henrique's goal to send the Devils in 2012 into the finals. These are 2 horrible teams right now, and this is probably one of the worst battle of Hudson River, New Jersey, matchups we've seen in a while. Like these 2 teams are horrible. It should go under, but then you never know if they decide to just roll the puck out and have some fun. This might be a 3-2 game at the end of the first period, so I'm not touching it at all.
Exactly. It should go under until the moment I bet the damn thing, and then all bets are off, essentially. Andrew McGinnis, New Jersey and Rangers, buddy. What do you like here?
I'd have to go the same way, but it's like Alex said. I mean, just by hearing you say you hate the unders, and by Alex saying that, it scares me off wanting to take it. 2 bad teams collide. You don't know what the hell's going to happen, but I was happy to cash the full game under and the team total under with New Jersey against Washington. But it's a different story because you look at these teams, it's kind of both lower tier teams. So like I said, you don't really know what you're going to get out of that. With Washington, my case for that was a top tier team. Maybe want to play a better defensive style of hockey, win that one lower scoring, and of course it resulted in 3-0. So that's always nice when that works out the way you want it to. As far as this one goes, I think this one's going to be a really tight, messy, sloppy game, which could go either way. I wouldn't touch the side, and the total's too up in the air for me, so it's a pass for me.
All right, Andrew, passing on this one, Devils and Rangers. Up next, we've got one of the Hockey Night in Canada premier matchups tonight. Toronto Maple Leafs, Edmonton Oilers. You've got Toronto minus 150. Road favorites, total 6.5, shaded to the over. And of course, you've already heard it yesterday and so far today in the prelude to this game. Oh, can't wait to see McDavid versus Matthews. Stop already. It's Toronto versus Edmonton. It's a team sport. They always do this with the superstar matchups. McDavid Matthews or Crosby versus McDavid when it's Edmonton. It's Edmonton versus Toronto. It's Maple Leafs versus Oilers. Let's not lose sight of that. Let's not forget that. There are other good players on both of these teams. We got to remember that. But they'll hype it up like that, of course. Matthews.
Who are the other good players on Edmonton, Ian?
Actually, Draisaitl.
Yeah.
And I'm struggling to find the others, yes. Even Don Cherry's friend there, Nugent Thompson's, he hasn't played all that well lately for the Edmonton Oilers. He's had had a struggle lately. So I usually put him in the mix too, but not right now, not in his current form. Right now, it's Leon and Connor show, right? And that's about it. And it's been that way pretty much all season for the Edmonton Oilers. And that's been the issue. That's why they are where they are. Likely, not totally dead yet, but likely not making the playoffs in the West. But they're trying. I'll give them credit. They're still the efforts there. I mean, they beat Vancouver the other night. They've won a couple in a row now. They came back to beat Buffalo. They beat Columbus last weekend. It's a 3-game win streak all of a sudden for this Oilers team. And they're going to remember just getting their teeth kicked in by this Leaf team in Toronto just a couple weeks ago. Ken Hitchcock in his quotes and post-game, or not his post-game, but his press conferences leading up to this game tonight, guys, is saying we can't play Toronto the way we did last time. Last time we got into penalty trouble. Last time we thought we could trade chances with them. It's going to be Ken Hitchcock trap it up, I think, tonight against this Leaf team, or at least he's going to try to. You know, Ken Hitchcock, with every team he goes to, he wants to play, defense first, try to clog up the neutral zone. I think you're really going to try to see that from Edmonton. In fact, you really saw that kind of game and that kind of style from Edmonton against Vancouver the other night, and it worked pretty well for them. So they're going to try to clog this one up, which is why, even though I cashed a ticket with the over the first meeting between the Leafs and Oilers, I'm not coming back on it tonight. In fact, I'm going to pass this game altogether. Don't want to lay $1.50 with Toronto on the road here, although a big boost for Toronto. Nazem Kadri returning. They've missed him. Big return for the Leafs at both ends of the ice, can score, but most importantly, face-off guy, defensive forward, very good at shutting down the opposing team's top line, defensive presence, penalty killer, all that stuff. Just that intangible two-way player. And Nazem Kadri's return for the Leafs certainly will be welcomed by Mike Babcock and that Leaf team. So this is another game, unfortunately. I hate to be Mr. Repetitive, Mr. Dull, but we're pass again on this game here. Leafs taking on the Oilers. Alex B. Smith, anything that interests you betting-wise here with the Leafs taking on the Oilers?
A slight lean to the under 6.5. I know it's tough to try and look at with a Toronto team, especially they said Kadri coming back. That's a huge boost for them, and they have gone over in 6 of the last 7 games. But I just, like you said, I think this is going to be where Edmonton, being at home, having a 4-game win streak, they should have a little bit of confidence. It's going to be, a big viewing audience, obviously, a hockey night in Canada. So maybe they try, like I said, they want to slow things down. They might be successful with that early in this game, and then I could see this kind of just being like a 3-1, 3-2 game. So 6.5, a bit steep. I look at the under here in this matchup between Matthews and McDavid.
Yeah, under. Like I say, if Edmonton has their way, it will go under, because they're going to try to be a lot less risk-taking than they were the first meeting against Toronto in terms of, just cheating, pinching the defenseman, creating odd man rushes the other way. That got them in trouble the first meeting, and I don't think they're going to want to play that way this time around. Andrew, any thoughts with the Leafs and Oilers?
I'm going to take a rare shot here, guys, with the over 3.5 team total goals for the Edmonton Oilers, plus 115 official play.
Oh, wow, that's pretty good. I like the thought.
Yeah, I just think for this one here, I get your reasoning, guys. I get it, Ian, what you're saying about the Ken Hitchcock strategy. I just really feel like in order for them to be successful against this Leafs team, they're not going to be able to play a defensive style game as much as you'd want them to, as much as they should. That should be their strategy. If they have to be successful in this one, if they're going to come out on top, they're going to have to get some goals and get some goals early. I could easily see a 5-4 game in this one. I could see a 4-3 game. I think Edmonton has a live dog in this one, to be honest with you. I see some injury problems on defense still for Toronto. I see this being a cakewalk type game for them that they're not really getting too up for. And this is a game where, like you said, Edmonton's going to wake up and say, hey, geez, this is the game we got to freaking step up and take down this Leafs team. So interesting pick there, but we're getting some plus money. I'm going to go with Edmonton team total over 3.5.
All right, and that was a good price too. What, plus 115?
Yes. Yeah.
That's a pretty good price on that. Yeah, Freddie Anderson's in net, great goaltender and all that, but you're right. Defensively, no Dermott, no Gardner still for the Leafs. I'm telling you, you got a hodgepodge of mediocrity with your 4, 5, 6 defensemen right now with this Leaf team, with Ozhiganov and Marincin and guys like that. Justin Hall had a game and was a disaster recently for them too. So that back end of the blue line for the Leafs, that's where you make your hay. I think if you're Edmonton, try to get some goals when those guys are on the ice. Avoid Riley, avoid some of your better defensemen on this team, but try to make hay when those guys are on the ice, because it's a dog's breakfast sometimes with Ozhiganov. It's just not physical. He turns the puck over as soon as he's pressured. That's been the case with him. That's been the case with Marincin too when he's been in there. So those are the two guys you target certainly for Edmonton. If you're going to go after anybody on this Leaf defense tonight. Next up, we've got Philadelphia taking on the New York Islanders. New York Islanders minus 140 in this game. The total 6 shaded to the under. Very, very tempted by the I'm going to actually go official on this. New York Islanders here minus 140 in this game. This is a massive short turnaround revenge situation because the Islanders got pummeled by Philadelphia recently at Nassau Coliseum. That was after they played Toronto. Tavares returned. Then they played Washington. Then they played Philly on that Sunday, and Philly just dominated them. It was a bad loss for the Islanders. I think they avenged that tonight. It wasn't a pretty couple of wins for them against Ottawa this week, but a win is a win. And that's what Barry Trotz, I'm sure, is going to focus on with this Islanders team. Philadelphia just got absolutely crushed by Washington in their last game. I know it ended up being 5-3, a little closer at the end, but that game was over early. It was 5-0 before the Flyers finally got on the board. I think this team's finally starting to realize, hey, we traded Simmons at the deadline. We're out of the race now. Islanders, I think, aren't going to take Philly lightly this time around. And I like the short turnaround revenge angle in play here with the superior Islander team. I'll lay the $1.40. Usually, I was considering reg line instead for a better price, but just to be safe, I'll go minus 140 with the New York Islanders here, which is still available at the Greek. This will be my third official play, laying the price here with the Isles at home. Alex B. Smith, you got anything with this game?
No, I like your reasoning there with the Islanders here, but that price just scares me off a little bit. I would like sort of slight lean there. You said the fact that Philly played them tough, so that could give them a little bit of some reasoning and advantage too, to try and play a little tough. But this is a Islanders team. You can't fade them at home. They've won 10 of the last 14 at home, and this is a Flyers team. Like I said, maybe they try to fight early, but it could taper off late. But yeah, I'm not looking at lanes. I would actually, if I had to play anything, I would be a lean toward the draw. Wouldn't be shocked to see this one go to overtime.
Yeah, that's true. It could be a close game. Islanders have played a lot of close games lately. That's why I'm not comfortable with reg line. I'll take the chalk. I'll eat the chalk this time. A little bit more of a price than normal on the minus 140. Andrew, anything here with the Flyers and Isles?
I'm going to look at the under in this one here. I think I look at Philadelphia. They're a team for me that they lost some talent at the trade deadline, as we know. And ever since then, they've really been trying to and be involved in a lot lower scoring games. And, you look at their last game against Washington, that's just a proof right there that, a 5-3 game is not one they're going to win. That many goals is not something that they want to be involved in. They want to be more involved in 3-1, even 3-2 type style games. And this is the kind of stuff that New York is used to. New York is comfortable playing in that game. And that's what the Barry Trotz mentality does. I mean, they literally went this Islanders team from being one of the best over teams in the league last year to now being a top under team consistently. And, with the number we're being given here, I think that this should be a solid pick for me. And it's going to be an official play. I just think this one has a very, very slow feel to it. Both teams have trouble finding the scoreboard. And this one goes under the posted total. So I'll go under in this one.
All right, Philly and the Islanders under 6 in this game for Andrew McGinnis, an official play. Next up, we've got Pittsburgh-Columbus rematch. They just played a couple days ago in Pittsburgh, and the Columbus Blue Jackets, we need to put out an APB, MIA, their goal scoring, their offense. Where the hell is it? We haven't been able to find it the last few games. Columbus minus 150 in this game at home. The total 6.5 shade to the over. I had best bet Pittsburgh-Columbus over. I'm not going back to it. I've got to see evidence of Columbus scoring. That's all there is to it. Until I do, I can't back another Columbus over. Even though I worry, believe me, it's in the pit of my gut. Watch this be the night they explode and get this offense. Duchesne gets going, Dzingel gets going. But this may not be just a thing that all of a sudden Duchesne gets going tonight. Duchesne has had a slow start every time he's been traded to a new team. And it's happening again here with Columbus. It happened when he went to Ottawa as well. People were saying, what the hell did we trade for? Now Columbus is saying the exact same thing after a few games with Duchesne as a member of the Jackets. What the hell have we got? Not much so far. It'll come for him, but I'm not going to be in the predicting game of when he all of a sudden rights the ship. And when teams are struggling offensively, they're not getting any puck luck, they're not getting any breaks, they're not getting a goal to ricochet off a skate or off someone's stick, when just there's no possible way for them to score right now. Sometimes that can keep going for a few more games, and then all of a sudden the floodgates open. I'm just going to sit back and wait for that floodgate game to happen for Columbus. Then I might start riding them over the total again, because chances are the floodgates will open in the one game they get going with their offense, put up some goals and win. It could lead to a little bit of an explosion in subsequent games after that. But I'm not going to predict it's going to happen until I actually see it. So this is not a game I'm interested in. I think there's value on Pittsburgh, to be honest with you, but Columbus is desperate here. They're at home. They lost to this team now twice in the last 4 days. if they have an A game, if they have a great effort in them, theory says it's tonight, but maybe you don't. Maybe they throw everything at the net and they still can't bury a puck. I could see that playing out as well. So this is a very, very tricky game for me. I think all the values on Pitt, because they're the better team right now. Columbus has got struggling with confidence right now, but I am worried. This is desperate times now. You saw Montreal lose last night. You saw Kakalaki get buried by Winnipeg last night. Pat on the back for me there with Winnipeg. But you saw Carolina lose last night. Montreal lose. Yeah, that was a good one. Carolina lose last night. Montreal lose last night. The two teams that the Columbus Blue Jackets are chasing right now for one of those wild card spots. This is your opportunity to take advantage of those two teams losing last night with a win tonight. So I think it's a step-up spot for Columbus, but I got to see it before I believe it, because right now they're frustrated and they can't put a puck in the net. Until that changes, I'm not backing them. Certainly not at this price. Talking about near minus 150 with them in this game. And Bobrovsky, is not any great shakes right now either, and he's had a tough time in recent meetings against Pittsburgh. So all the more reason why I'm very hesitant on Columbus, very hesitant on the over, even though I lean in those directions, and it'll be a pass for me in this game. Alex B. Smith, Pittsburgh, Columbus, fascinating game. What do you like here?
It's just funny. So, we talk about bookmakers have been paying more attention to hockey over the years, this particular season, obviously with the expansion and, people like me talking to the purple in the face about first period overs and all stuff. But clearly they still don't pay attention enough, especially when it comes to the month of March, because this line is exhibit A of it. We flip-flop these two teams in location, and now all of a sudden Columbus is minus 140, 150 after we saw Pittsburgh dominate Columbus. Matt Murray had a shutout, his fourth win in his last 5 starts. A Pittsburgh team that's now in third place, climbing up the Metropolitan Division. I have no idea why on earth Pittsburgh is plus money here, but I'm going to take it. I already played it at plus 120. This is an official play. I'm probably going to talk about it again later on. I just don't see what changes in a couple of nights. I mean, this Columbus team, like I said, struggling to score, struggling to gel together. Everything that I mentioned during the trade deadline, like, okay, team's going to take a while to gel together, but once it does, it's going to be should be something special. I don't think that's the case anymore now. I don't think these guys are all going to be fitting in to these pieces. Like you said, even with teams around them losing, this is still a big spot for Pittsburgh to try and gain some momentum, possibly end up, they're in the hunt now for that division title, where we talked about them possibly, slipping out as a wild card spot just a week ago. So Penguins plus money, that is my official play.
All right, Pittsburgh money line for Alex B. Smith. This is going to be the last game for Andrew to talk about on the show. He's got to run in a couple of minutes, so we'll give him a chance to talk about Pittsburgh and Columbus. We'll rhyme off the rest of his plays as we go through the rest of the card. You won't miss anything in terms of Andrew's plays for the rest of the card. He's posted them. He's let me know what they are, and I will recite them as we go through the rest of the card. So, Andrew, before you leave us, your thoughts here with the Jackets and Penguins.
Well, the first thing I'll really say, guys, is if there was a game where I'd like to talk with you guys about for the longest period of time, it'd be this one. Certainly. I mean, whether it's from betting perspective or just fan perspective or just analyzing a game, it'd be this one because, excuse me, it's like Alex said, why the fact that we get the flip from home and home does it make the odds this great? Why are we getting this value right now? You want to go with the flow. You want to go with what's working. And that last one, I know Alex was on it. I think Ian, you were on it as well. Pittsburgh's so successful. And sorry, guys, tickle my throat. But I'm looking at this in Columbus right now. It's like Ian said with Duchesne and these guys just not stepping up. There's no point in waiting for it. There's no point in guessing when that's going to be. It's might as well back the hot team right now. Alex said just a few weeks ago they were out of the wild card spot. I mean, they were competing with Carolina, Montreal and Pittsburgh and Columbus. Now all of a sudden they're nearly at the top of their division. Like they're dominating, and this is what great teams do. They know when to pick it up. They know when to kind of play great hockey and play defensive hockey as well. Part of me really, guys, wants to take the Columbus team total under. And I'm really close to doing that, but I'm just going to go with Pittsburgh on the money line. Simple, great value. I don't know when Columbus will wake up. From a Habs fan perspective, I really am happy about their, lack of success these days, because I just want to shout out the fact that, great night again for me last night, but terrible, terrible best bet with the Canadians money line. It's tough. It's tough having a 3-1 night and then losing your best bet. So, all my plays today are flat bets, but hopefully Montreal can kind of settle in and, have a win against Detroit, because Columbus is lucky that Montreal had a terrible road trip as well, because it's really the two stinkers that are competing for that wild card spot that are just playing terrible hockey right now, honestly, altogether. So going to look at Pittsburgh money line, like you guys said. I mean, not really too much more to say about it. Great value on them. I think Crosby on his, I think he tied his longest goal streak of his career so far. They're all coming together and playing great hockey. And you know what? We're finally seeing some consistent goaltending from this Pittsburgh team as well. I don't know what else this Columbus team has to offer, guys. It's like Ian said, they could get 45 shots tonight and maybe not get a win still. That's what I feel like could happen. Have a great weekend to you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night. And I'm off to a family birthday dinner. So I'll see you later.
There you go. He's
Cheers,
on.
Andrew.
There you go. Way to go, Andrew. We'll recite the rest of his plays for sure during the rest of the show. I think he'll be back with us tomorrow, but either way, we'll see Andrew next time right here for sure on the Ice Guys. He's on Pittsburgh as well at the plus price, 130 in this game. You're right. Columbus has had many games like that. I think of the Winnipeg Jets game they played at home. They had 40-some shots and didn't win the game, couldn't score. It could be one of those nights again. Let's not forget Matt Murray's played pretty good the last few starts in net too for the Penguins. So we know he's one of these guys. He's had hot streaks. He's had cold streaks this year. He's in a hot groove right now. The hot zone is Matt Murray at this point in time. So we'll see if that can continue tonight. Big game there though, Penguins and Jackets. You got to think too from a Columbus perspective, and that's why I'm not in a rush to lay $1.50 with them. Pressure. That noose is pretty tight around this team. It's tight around Tortorella. It's tight around the players that were brought in. It's tight around the GM, Jarmo Kekalainen, who really said, to hell with it, screw it, we're going to go for it this year. It's a colossal disaster if this team doesn't get in the playoffs, and everybody in the organization knows it. So there's pressure to get this done, and pressure sometimes makes you play worse, not better. And maybe that's part of the equation right now with the Columbus Blue Jackets. But
it's a franchise we've seen them struggle whenever they're in pressure. I mean, look at their playoff record overall. I mean, it's every time they have a good chance, then they blow it, or they just blow it out right out the gate. So
exactly, this is a team we're still waiting for their first playoff series victory in franchise history. They've been to the first round 2 or 3 times, haven't won a first round series. First of all, right now for Columbus, you're thinking, let's just make the playoffs first. We'll see if they're able to take a step toward that here tonight. Next up, we've got Carolina versus Nashville. Very interesting East versus West matchup here. Nashville minus 155, home favorites, total 5.5 shaded to the over. This is a game that, much like Buffalo, Colorado, I'm involved from a side and from a totals perspective in this game. Carolina, like Buffalo, like Florida, obviously like Chicago, who we're going to talk about very soon. One of those teams streaking over the total right now, game in and game out, and Carolina's doing that right now, giving up some goals. Finally, the dam is starting to break for this McElhinney-Mrazek duo. They've been good for most of the season, but they've not been as sharp lately. Carolina gets absolutely crushed last night by Winnipeg, 8-1 on home ice. That being said, they're getting a price here. They're battling for their playoff lives. And if you actually look at Carolina in the second night of back-to-back games, they've done well without rest. And in fact, off a loss, they're 5-2. Second night of back-to-back games, off a loss, which is the spot here, 5-2 for the Carolina Hurricanes. I think they're live tonight against Nashville, and I think the pride kicks in. You just got absolutely, just taken apart last night by the Winnipeg Jets. You have a track record of being an okay team this year, a good team actually, with no rest on the second night of back-to-back games. You're off an embarrassment. I think you get a good effort from Carolina. UC Saros in net for Nashville. He's had some good starts. He's had some bad starts lately, a little bit of both for the Predators. So I think Carolina has a big bounce-back effort. I like them, and I like the over, especially at 5.5. As soon as I saw 5.5, I'm like, let's take advantage of that. I know Nashville's not always the easiest team to go over the total with, but they finally had their offense breakout last game against Minnesota. The back end of that home-and-home series. We're waiting for that offense to come to life. And a team that upgraded their forward group before the deadline with the acquisitions of Wayne Simmons and Mikael Granlund. And finally, we saw signs of that the other night. It exploded for 5 goals. Maybe the floodgates start to open for Nashville. And all of a sudden, Carolina, last few games, dealing with some defensive issues, little leakiness at the back end. Not getting quite the same goaltending they got earlier this season. So Nashville, I think, can score. I think Carolina is going to be aggressive after last night's abomination and want to come out, be on the front foot, throw a lot of pucks at the net, which is the Carolina way of doing things. this season. So I like Carolina. I think they got a chance. I'll take the chance at plus 130. We're the team that's battling for their lives off a stinker in a role they've been good in, and also over 5.5, and see if Carolina can extend what I believe is a 5 or 6 game over the total streak going into this game tonight. So Carolina plus 130, over 5.5 minus 120. 2 official plays for me on this Preds Hurricanes game. Alex, you got anything on this one?
Yeah, official play on the Hurricanes, except seeing a plus 130. I actually saw a plus 130, plus 135 as well. So, like I said, 7-2 overall the second night of back-to-backs. So, like I said, 5-2 off of a loss. And yeah, this is just the spot that they've done well in. And there's every year there seems to be 1 or 2 teams that really relish that second night spot where there's a bunch of teams that just struggle in it. And this is a Nashville team that, even though they win games, it's just been ugly hockey lately. And there's been a lot of times where I tried to back them and they've completely burned me. But Carolina's been a team that I've fared well with, and mostly on this spot here with that second night. So I'm going to roll it again at plus 135.
All right, very good. Carolina, again, they're talking about a team that got just absolutely waxed last night by the Winnipeg Jets 8-1. And I was against Carolina last night with that Winnipeg Jets play. I'm going to be on them tonight, though. I still think, we can't throw Carolina in the dumpster just yet because they lost back-to-back to Boston and Winnipeg. Those are 2 pretty good hockey teams. Carolina knows points are at a premium right now, just off such a poor performance last night. I think we get the best they have to offer. Hopefully that's enough for a victory tonight in a place that's, I know, admittedly tough for road teams to win in, Music City, but I think Carolina does have a decent chance here tonight. Carolina and over for me, Carolina for Alex. Chicago, Dallas. We've got Dallas minus 165 to minus 175 home favorites. Total 7 shade to the under. Dallas should win, but there's no way I'm laying this price here in this game. Blackhawks just absolutely hapless defensively. It continues. It's continued for 2 months. It's continued throughout this, what is now a 23-1 to the over streak in their last 24 games. It's unbelievable how this thing keeps going. We thought, hey, it's a 7 against Buffalo the other night. Maybe this is the night the streak comes to an end. And I was legitimately concerned that would be the night the streak comes to an end. Not even close. 9 goals. 5-4, flies over the total one more time. Now, here's the issue. Dallas is one of the biggest under teams in the NHL, especially at home. And now Chicago, one of the biggest over teams anywhere, coming in to face them. They are going to maybe get Radek Faksa back from injury, which is big for the Stars tonight. That should help them. Hudobin is in net, and I'm surprised. And I don't know if this is a good decision for Jim Montgomery because Bishop's been excellent. Hudobin's been good too, but Hudobin faced Chicago in the game a couple weeks ago at the Madhouse on Madison in Chicago. He didn't play well against Chicago that day. Let in 4 goals in that hockey game and wasn't exactly sharp against the Blackhawks. I would have thought Bishop gets the start here. He doesn't. It's Hudobin instead. We know it's Crawford, of course, for Chicago. Obviously, he's going to get the majority of starts now that he's healthy again, but unfortunately, the team in front of him defensively is not very healthy in terms of the way they're playing the game. And that's been the issue for Corey Crawford. So, hey, I'm just going to keep doing it. Again, it just keeps on working. I know it's 7. I know Dallas is involved, a big-time under team, but we're going to do it. Over 7, plus 120 is the price. Great price tag on it. I think 7 at worst. We get a 4-3 game, worst-case scenario, or 5-2, something like that. And we get a push at the worst-case scenario, because I think, to me, with what we've seen, this is a 24-game over sample size now with Chicago. These totals now have got to be 7.5 or higher. And until they are, I think you can still squeeze out just a teeny little bit of value with them going forward. So for me, official play will be Dallas, Chicago, over 7. Nice plus price, plus 120. Alex B. Smith, Blackhawks and Stars. What do you think here?
Yeah, I'm with you on this one as well for an official play over 7. Like I said, plus I found one plus 115, but plus 120. That's also good value, obviously. And I talked about it in the last show I was on about how the defense in front of Corey Crawford has been horrendous. And we know that. It's been all year. But Corey Crawford is not the Corey Crawford of old. And, it's not his fault. Obviously, he's had the concussion issues and so forth. But he's let in some soft goals himself. And I don't know if it's just fatigue or just generally just, he's trying to get into understand this is what, it's like a beginning of a season for him. This is like his, first month back. Getting in after those concussions after being out for an extended period of time. So that included with the defensive breakdown that has been the Hawks all season long, you have to go with the over, even against a under team like Dallas. And Dallas has been playing really good. Won 7 last night at home. They're trying to make a rush for the playoffs and sharpen the skates a bit. And they're going to be a dangerous out in the playoffs too if they can start rolling this way, get everybody healthy in time, like I said, 4 weeks from now. I think they're going to be a really rough team to kind of tumble within a 7-game series. So these are games they need to win right now, and they should win it. But I like the over more than any side.
All right, we both like it. Over 7. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's one of the mantras I've stuck with consistently in betting Chicago overs. Like, until I see evidence of them staying under, I just keep going with it. I don't care if it's 7, 9, 13 the total. If it keeps going over, I take it. If it keeps going over, and Chicago certainly has been one of the just an incredible ride with this 23-1. I think I've cashed 20 or 21 of those 23. Like, I've been on this streak almost since it started. That's been the best part. This is going to be one of the most enjoyable single team streaks that I've ever had in sports betting. I mean,
yeah, was it online? Somebody said
it's worked this long.
Somebody said if you rolled it over from the first game, that you would have possibly have, like, or not the first game, but from the after that loss, because that loss came kind of early, you would have made over $1 million.
That's true, because I think they've gone 16 or 17 in a row over the total. In the middle of that 24-game stretch since the one loss. Exactly.
And a lot of these 6.5, 7s have been like tonight plus money. So you're actually, usually when you start seeing a streak like that, if it was a money line streak, you'd be, laying more and more. But now you're actually getting plus value in some of these higher totals.
Yeah, no doubt. It's been remarkable. I mean, I don't know if you'll see something like this again with a team in terms of going one way or the other, over or under a total for this long a period of time, game in and game out. I don't know if you'll see it again. I've said that before, but it's worth reemphasizing. Los Angeles, Arizona, we're down to our last 2 games on the card. Arizona minus 175, the total 5 shaded to the over. Maybe Arizona in reg, but I've won one, lost one with Arizona in regulation, that kind of thinking lately. Give Arizona credit, bounced back and beat a very good Calgary team the other night. We were talking about it. I'm concerned with no Derek Stepan in their center ice position for Arizona is a little scary, but that didn't stop them from taking care of a very good Calgary team on home ice in their last game. LA, I certainly don't trust them. I mean, they had St. Louis in a brutal spot the other night, coming off the huge comeback against Anaheim, back-to-back on the road, and LA gets stomped by the St. Louis Blues. Thoroughly dominated 4-0. I think they got outshot 32-14 in that game as well, the Kings. So they're back to their old terrible ways again. They've had a really bad week, losing to Montreal and St. Louis in ugly fashion, outscored combined 7-1 in those 2 losses. So yeah, this is Arizona in regulation. Lean for me only, though. No official plays. Alex, anything here with the Kings and the Coyotes?
Yeah, that's the only thing I could look at would be Arizona regulation. No way I'm playing the Kings right now, but there's no way in hell I'm laying 175 with Arizona either. And like I said, even though they're playing better hockey at home, even the regulation kind of scares me because I can see this being a close battle, division, rivals. So maybe look at the draw plus 295, and that's one of the better prices you're seeing on the draw. A lot of draws are drawing 280. Or lower, and then of course, obviously the big favorites you get some gargantuan prices. But this is one I could definitely see going into OT, and then Arizona probably taking care of business there. But other than that, it's a pass.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's better spots, better games on the board than this one. Just too expensive on Arizona for as well as they're playing, especially at home. Vegas, Vancouver, the last game on the Saturday card, getting through all 12. It's a big card, 12 games today. Vegas minus 165. Minus 170, minus 180, minus 185. Wow, Vegas is getting hit as we speak on my live odds screen right now. The price going up on this Golden Knights team. The total 6 shaded to the under. Vancouver, though, is coming off a rare win, and a rare win against a good Toronto Maple Leafs team. Came back, raced a 2-0 deficit, won the game 3-2 in overtime. Very impressive for Vancouver. One of those teams, again, like Edmonton right now, Alex, where they're not right back in the Western Conference playoff race, but they're not totally out of it yet. So I think you're still going to see Vancouver give it a good, honest go of it every single game. But they're playing a Vegas team. They played in Vegas last weekend. Vegas is doing rematches with Vancouver and Calgary on the road this weekend after they played both of them last week at home. I don't know if the result's going to be that different. Vegas looked like their forecheck was too much for Vancouver to handle. There's one defenseman I like on this Canucks team. It's Edler. Other than that, it's a very young, struggling group now on the back end. They were overwhelmed by the Vegas forecheck at T-Mobile Arena when they played last weekend. We'll see if things change here. It's a big price on the road. I'll be honest. I think this price is a little bit too high. I think there's a tinge of value with Vancouver, but not enough for me to pull the trigger on it. Total-wise, it's 6. Vancouver did get 3 goals against Toronto the other night, which is maybe a sign they can get their offense going. Their offense has been better at home than on the road lately, so maybe I lean over the total in this game 6. But I was on the over Vegas-Vancouver last weekend. It stayed under. Not in any immediate hurry to get back on the over tonight, even though my lean is in that direction. So closest I'd be to making a bet on this game would be over 6, but just going to be a lean, not an official play. Alex B. Smith, you got anything here with the Canucks and the Golden Knights?
I lean with Vegas in regulation minus $1.25. You wonder if if it's a look ahead spot because they're worried about Calgary tomorrow night in that second half of back-to-back. So that's something that's keeping me off of it as an official play. But they've won 6 of the last 7 meetings with Vancouver. Like I said, absolutely kind of dominated them too. Playing well in the neutral zone, just beating them in every aspect of the way. And that's how Vegas, when they dominate teams, we've seen them now over a year and a half of sample size. They either really dominate in every aspect of the game or they have a few loose holes. And this is just one of those teams that they've matched up well against. So lean with Vancouver or lean with Vegas in regulation against Vancouver. But definitely want to keep an eye, especially if they get to a big lead early. Vegas gets to a big lead early. If they maybe taper off a little bit, trying to get ready for what should be a fiery, pun intended, rematch tomorrow with Calgary.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is it a look-ahead spot? Because that was an intense, physical, phenomenal playoff hockey game, playoff-style type of hockey game. Golden Knights and Flames earlier this week, and they play again tomorrow night against in Calgary, the rematch. And tempers got a little hot under the collar in that game, Vegas and Calgary. So does Vegas have their eye on the prize here? Full focus on Vancouver. Definitely a concern. Also, who's going to be in net tonight for the Golden Knights? Did they give Malcolm Subban a role in between the pipes tonight, knowing they've got the big game tomorrow night against Calgary, or do they give Fleury a chance, just another start? We'll have to wait and see. It is Fleury. Fleury and Markstrom have been confirmed. So there we go. That was not something I had as confirmations before the show started, but Fleury is in net for the Golden Knights. Markstrom for Vancouver, which you'd expect. He's gotten most of the starts lately, and he will probably continue to be that way. So interesting. Mikey with some good stats, too, about how Vegas has scored 4 goals in every meeting in Vancouver since the Golden Knights joined the NHL. So they've had no problem scoring goals. Maybe a Golden Knight team total, maybe Golden Knight puck line, Golden Knight regulation line if you're looking in that direction. But to me, I am concerned about the Calgary game tomorrow night. That's such a huge game. They already pasted Vancouver last week. Vancouver's where they are in the standings. Calgary's where they are. Does Vegas really have this smells like this could be a spot where you get a C game or a D game out of Vegas for some reason. That's just what I'm worried about here a little bit. So it's going to be a pass for me with this game. That's going to wrap up the card. It's a great job. We broke it all down in pretty much an hour. Impressive stuff. Kept a brisk pace, which we always try to do on this show. I've really made a concerted effort to ramble less. I know that's sometimes a problem for me, but we're trying to keep the show rolling, especially on the Saturday shows, the Tuesday shows, the Thursday shows, Alex, where there's just so many games. You'd be here for 5 hours, if you talk as long as I do about every game. So we try not to do that. So let's recap everybody's card here, because I think we've got everybody's here. Andrew, I should point out, I forgot to mention this. We're going to add one for Andrew. Arizona in regulation. He does like Arizona in regulation. That is going to be one of his official plays for this card. Let me see what we've got here in terms of the best price available with Arizona on the reg line, minus 125. Still a decent price. So Andrew likes that one as an official play. All right, so to recap, plays from everybody. Let's start with Andrew first. He's on Buffalo, Colorado, over 6.5. That game is just minutes away from starting, dropping the puck in Denver. He's on Ottawa, Boston, over 1.5 first period, and Ottawa, Boston, full game, over 6. He's on the Edmonton Oilers team total, over 3.5 plus 115. The Philadelphia Flyers, New York Islanders, under 6. He's on Pittsburgh, plus 130. Carolina, plus 130. And Arizona to win in regulation, minus 125. And no best bet for Andrew. All one-unit plays with his card. Alex B. Smith, I've got him with Colorado in regulation, minus 115. Pittsburgh, plus 130. Carolina, Kakalaki, plus 130. Chicago, Dallas, over 7 at plus 120. And I believe that is it from him. Is that true?
That's it, yeah.
Those 4 plays. All right, there we go. That's Alex. For me, Colorado in regulation, minus 115. Buffalo, Colorado, over 6.5. New York Islanders, minus 140. Side and total with Carolina, Nashville. Carolina, plus 130. Carolina, Nashville, over 5.5, minus 120. And, of course, If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Chicago, Dallas, over 7, plus 120. That is my card. So 3, 4, 5, 6 plays altogether. I do not have a best bet today. I'm going to keep everything 1 unit as well today. No best bet. I considered Chicago, Dallas, but I'm going to just keep that 1 unit today. No best bet for me. Alex, any of your plays you want to step up to 2 unit best bet?
Yeah, Pittsburgh Penguins, especially getting plus 130. That's definitely going to be 2 unit best bet. Like I said, nothing changed that much in my opinion in the last 48 hours. I think the Penguins are vastly superior. They've won 12 of the last 13 meetings now. It was a big game for Columbus the other night, and they didn't step up. So yeah, being at home, I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. I think Pittsburgh is they're stepping up to themselves. Like I said, making a run now, trying to get that 3rd spot, possibly trying to even get home ice in the first round of the playoffs. So I like the Penguins, my best bet.
All right, Penguins best bet for Alex B. Smith, 2 unit best bet. He's the only ice guy with a best bet today. So we hope in Pittsburgh can get it done for Alex and for all of our great viewers. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. That does it for another edition of the Ice Guys. Great support. Appreciate all 38 patrons that have signed up for $10 a month to give you the best NHL hockey betting coverage that anyone can offer on YouTube or on the internet. 7 days a week. We're here 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Time. For Alex B. Smith and Andrew McGinnis, I'm Ian Cameron. We'll be back tomorrow, Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern, for a much shorter show because it's a much smaller card. But we'll be back here to break down the Sunday games, 2 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, with our next edition of the Patreon NHL Ice Guys. Have a great time. Enjoy the Saturday NHL card. Enjoy the games, and good luck. We'll see you again tomorrow.